Hi, it's Annika, and I am at the Rio Grande. That is that green water behind me, and that means that pretty much everything you see behind me is Mexico. I am right on the border of southwestern Texas and Mexico in the Big Bend it is natural, national park. And this is absolutely like wild in the most literal sense of the word. I'm really just like, I've been to a lot of national parks, but something about this park is just um, particularly untouched and wild. It is one of the least visited national parks in the country. Um, and so, like right now, for example, I have this whole entire place to myself. The parking lot was empty. There was just one car pulling out as I was pulling in. So I'm like literally the only person in this part of the park right now. Um, so yesterday I was at Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico, and it was not possible to film there because it's underground, and like you kind of have to move like in a circle, go through the a predetermined kind of line to go through the caverns. But there was no way to really capture the beauty of that place on film anyways. I snapped a few pictures, but then it just kind of felt ridiculous, honestly, to take pictures because I was really struggling to find words for that place. And what I finally came up with, kind of jokingly, is Carlsbad Caverns is what cathedrals dream of becoming when they grow up. Uh, I've seen a lot of cathedrals. I grew up in Germany with the Dom in Köln or Cologne, one of the most grand cathedrals, and I've traveled a bit around Europe and have seen some really large, old, impressive, pompous cathedrals, but there's just something about the natural cavern that took my breath away in the way these man-made cathedrals just can't. Like something about the natural beauty of those formations and the way they were shaped through these natural forces and time and all these like processes that I don't even fully understand. Um, it just, it just, I don't know. There was just something so much more stunning about that than the intentional designs of a cathedral. Um, and a thought that kept running through my mind as I was walking through the cavern was this concept of building resilience in order to increase capacity for beauty. So, like resilience, I've heard that talked about a lot, especially in the context of like victim culture or victim consciousness, which is a term that is often used in derision about people who kind of place their identity in a way in which they like in the ways in which they are or think of themselves as oppressed, marginalized, or victimized, and then attach their identity to that so that like it kind of justifies an inability to deal with certain situations. And so then that fragility becomes validated and justified and kind of condoned through this victimhood identity. And I am not a fan. Whoa. Okay, that is not something I expected to see. There's a herd of cattle walking by in a very neat line. I'm like, is that supposed to happen? Because I don't, I mean, there's no cattle farms here. So, okay, well, as long as they're staying up on that ridge, I think I'm good. I didn't, yeah, okay, cool. Um, yeah, so I am not a fan of the derision. I think that's a coping mechanism, the victimhood turning into an identity. I think that's a way to try to cope and make sense of one's world and reality. And I really don't like the fact that that is being made fun of or ridiculed. Now, when that is used to manipulate and control people, like when that turns into a form of entitlement, um, I'm all for I'm all for standing up to entitlement and to manipulation and control. But I don't think that the victimhood identity and the fragility that is kind of validated or condoned through that is in and of itself a problem. I think that's a natural coping mechanism. It's a natural stage in development, and it's a natural part of the process of growth and healing. And yeah, people can get stuck there, absolutely, but ridicule and mockery doesn't get people unstuck. It can help people bypass where they're at in order to appease the person who's ridiculing them, so they can appear more of a good person or more of the kind of person that they should be in the eyes of the ridiculer. But that just is another form of bypassing parts of the self. There's no healing, no transformation, and no growth in it. And that same thing that was expressing itself through that victimhood identity is going to come back again in just another way, and maybe in a more destructive way, actually. So anyways, that was kind of the main thing I wanted to talk about. Actually, was not so much the victimhood and the fragility, but kind of the flip side of it, which is like resilience.